Yep, sure.
Okay, round two.
That's an interesting spelling of
Ooh.
narrative. I like that.
Who
Oh,
cares? Hello and welcome to Mountain Goat Gaming, where I unfortunately cannot spell. Welcome to the narrative play section of the Goats. We are joined by probably one of the biggest names in Australia, let alone podcasting, SPG. Hello and welcome, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us tonight, my dude.
Thank you so much, Jake. Thanks for having me on. And one of the biggest. Who's bigger? Is it Kylie or is it someone else? Surely not.
narrative play wise? No.
No,
No,
definitely
no.
not.
God, no.
No, looking forward to talking this. The perfect way to get me on. If you talked about points matches, I probably would have had an excuse for not showing up. But it's narrative play and your own unique Queensland spin on it. I like that.
Yeah, 100%. Games Workshop was nice enough to drop a free download last night, so we thought we would have to do an emergency podcast, as the Gollums Gamers would call it, and get on to talk about how narrative play is effectively, I think, been shafted thus far.
Mm.
Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do all that sort of shit to help us get our name out. Thank you to everyone who is currently subscribed, and the Discord is popping off. There's currently like 20 people on there the last time I checked, just tonight.
Fantastic.
So big thank you. Big thank you to the Barter's Table and Oz Wargaming for sponsoring and helping us out. Please don't forget to use code GOATS, capitals. If you don't know how to spell it, don't ask me. To get a discount on your products or get something free. Bard's Table are changing up their thing next month. We're ditching the Santa helm and Hera, and they're jumping into like one of the new, I don't know, it's like a new designer guy. It's got like a massive Witch King of Angmar fighting some other goblins. It was really cool. It looks phenomenal. Some of the prints and
Yeah, get
STLs
on
that are
it.
coming out are really good. And as we mentioned, the Discord, I'm sure Sean or John will link the descriptions and shit below. Now let's get into the fun stuff. I've dragged Jeremy through onto the podcast mainly because I'm half a fangirl here, to be completely honest. I've listened to the Green Dragon, Jesus, since I first got into this. I started SPG and I was like, how do I really dive into the nitty gritties and figure out what I want to take, how to get a bit of tactics, and not just be a newbie forever. And the Green Dragon was where I gravitated initially, I think, as many of us have. And then I saw some of the models and stuff that were on like the little Spotify previews, and I was like, fucking, let me have a little gaze at that. And I was sold and hooked. So um, I really wanted a chance just to get on here and chat. So Jeremy, let's just have a bit of a dive into your journey into the hobby. How'd you get into it? How did the Green Dragon come about? Yeah, and where are we now?
You can drink your fancy ales, you can drink them by the flagon, but the only food for the brave and true comes from the Green Dragon.
Deal. I started playing the game when it was first released in, what was that, 2001. Before then, as a teenager, I was into things like Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k, but it just didn't really catch as much. And when I saw Lord of the Rings coming out, a preview in one of the White Dwarf magazines, I was really excited. I grew up listening to my dad read The Hobbit to me as I was trying to go to sleep. That was his routine to try and get me to shut up and go to sleep. So I really appreciate that. So I had that background and movies coming out at that age, and that was just all excitement for me. So I got hold of the Fellowship of the Ring box set when I was over on a trip to the States. I think I had to cross the border, go over to Toronto to pick it up from a Games Workshop store just to find it there, and immediately opened it up and started playing the game. Played something with Aragorn against 1,000 goblins to start off, just to try out the rules. And of course, he just got killed instantly because 5 point goblins and Aragorn don't mix. But pretty soon I got onto some of the scenarios. There was quite a few in the original book, and just was overjoyed about it. Just the feeling of achievement when I painted my first full scenario, had the scenery done, had the models done, really got me going. And I was able to play through the points match games. They were slowly released over time. It started as a scenario game only, and then we brought in. Oh, that's a nice close up. We brought in the the points match games as we went. So I really started off with the scenarios, played through them, started off with my brother, and then got to a gaming club and played it with people around. And while I was doing that, I was a young adult, listening to a lot of podcasts about hobby, but nothing about Lord of the Rings. And it was kind of disappointing that no one was talking about it. I was just waiting for someone to come up with something. So I decided to drag a few friends, and we tried to record a pilot episode probably in the late 2000s. And I don't think it went anywhere. I might have released it at one point as a bit of a flashback. But then eventually we finally got to recording on a pretty regular basis, put out stuff into the audio world, and just hope people would have a listen to it. The interesting about doing that audio podcast is that you don't really get a whole bunch of feedback from people. So I'll get a lot of feedback whenever I post pictures like you're seeing in the down. But whenever we posted a podcast, you wouldn't get many comments except if someone disagrees. So you could go and rage bait people into commenting and knowing that they're listening. But other than that, it was just putting it out there. And it was mostly for just our group to listen to. So initially, most of the downloads were done by Matt listening to it over and over again as we played games or painted. But we had a lot of fun doing that. And it's just something that's kept going. We're definitely not as regular as we used to be. Life gets in the way of this sort of stuff at times. But it's always fun to have a chat. And we're well known for our long form podcasts. We just talk until it needs, whatever needs to be said, needs to be said. So oftentimes it's hours and hours long. We try to rein that in a little bit, but we just can't. It's just, everyone's got to have their say. So I have a lot of fun doing that. And I've tried to make sure that we talk about the narrative scenarios as much as possible, because that's where the joy of the game really lies for me. It's playing through these movie scenes, these book scenes, really getting my imagination going and having that collaborative process for the war game. So I'm playing against someone and both of us want to have a really close, interesting game. So we'll go and play and then we'll flip sides and try to make it either solve the problem or fix up something or try to make it more exciting. So we will go through that way. So that's where I'm hooked on the narrative games. Also, you can play it at much more relaxed pace and in your own home or in a garage or at a club or something like that. You don't have to play it in a tournament event where someone's got a timer next to you and everyone's really loud and people keep bumping into your back all the time. So the narrative games are definitely what I love, and I like going through the Games Workshop books, basically putting together the scenarios, making the terrain, making the models, painting them up, and playing through these as an excuse to get my model on.
Jeremy, over the editions, how have you seen narrative play either get better or change?
Basically...
Oh, but there's no get worse. It gets worse. It's more like get change.
No, well, there's more rules now in terms of what the game does. Initially, for example, there's only like the 3 heroics, and you had heroic combat, heroic move, and then heroic shoot, and you never used heroic shoot. So you had 2 heroics initially in the game, and even things like just introducing something like March changes a huge amount of scenarios, because there's a lot of early scenarios which would just race and try and catch the hero. And as soon as the hero's got March, you never caught the heroes. They instantly ran off the board. So you had to go and rebalance the scenarios in those ways. They were always an excuse to put down the models. Initially, I liked a lot of them. They never got it right between their packaging. So they'd always have like 4 metal models in the scenario where they sold it in blister packs of 3. So initially, they had a lot of trouble doing that. They've got better at that now. They've actually put them in terms of how you can buy them, which is very thoughtful. But the scenarios overall have really had such a variety of games. Recently, they've started introducing the card game ones, which I just totally dislike because I just want to see the visual appeal for it. So putting models on cards and flipping some cards over has no appeal whatsoever to me. But other than that, the scenarios at their core are probably pretty similar. They have had a little bit of a bump with things like special strikes being added because they slow down the scenarios quite a bit. So oftentimes we just got rid of stuff like that. And look, the designers agree with me because they've got rid of them for this edition. But in this edition, the big problem we have is lots of models have a lot of extra thematic rules which would normally be locked into the scenarios. And now they've just put them into the profile. So you've got that doubling up. So we've got to make a bit of a chat before we play a scenario. Do we want to discard those rules? Do we want to try them out? What do we like? Things like Legolas's bow shot. Legolas is in every scenario. And having that extra shooting attack can potentially change it up quite a bit. So we've got to make the call on that one. The channel magic spells really stuffs up what you do with resources because a lot of the old Ringwraith scenarios were about resource management. And now if you can just guarantee a 6 on a roll, just do it.
Huge.
Spend the 1 will and be done.
Yeah. It'd be nice, honestly, if GW could come through and almost rebalance all the scenarios. And even if they just release it, so like you have your match play guide and then like a narrative play guide, that'd be cool. I think that'd be like a
very
big wish list. I don't think it'll happen.
No, and they never balance the scenarios. They've got a little bit better at them, but scenarios are always a toolbox. You go and you put them down, and I just don't think they have the resources to play through enough to be able to get them to a point where they're balanced. So it's a bit of a do-it-yourself thing. They give you the models, which are usually a really cool collection of models. They give you a story, and you go and you play through, and you just change it to taste. And I don't know they need to be balanced. I just think they need to be there for an aspirational thing, because I don't think anyone starting out the game legitimately looks at it and goes, you know what, I can't wait to play a points match game with my fellowship against elves. Like, no one looks at that. They look at the scenes. They want to play through the stuff from the movie. So things like Weathertop and the Seeing Seat battles, that sort of stuff is inspiring for people. And I think to have that, even just in the book, of saying you can play like this, is really important. So the fact they got rid of it worries me a bit, and I'm shocked that they haven't come out with more than the starter game for the War of Rohirrim, because there's so many interesting scenes in there. They could have easily put something together with Helm Hammerhand against a snow troll.
Yeah.
Throw that couple more scenario in there.
Anything like that, 100% would agree. I mean, it's one of those things with narrative play. It can get more people into the hobby because it can directly relate it to the movies themselves or the books and such. And like, it's in the beauty of narrative play as well is you can actually make your own personal FAQs in that scenario. You can go. I've heard that you've played through some scenarios a couple of times, and then you've gone back and Kylie and yourself and Matt have adjusted it accordingly to go, okay, well, how do we balance it a little bit better so that it actually feels like a smoother run through? So I think that's what's also really, really great about narrative play versus match play. We get a hopeful 6-month FAQ that addresses problems versus you can actually play it out, see what corrections you would make, and go, okay, let's try this one. Let's try it again. Let's have some fun. Switch sides. I'll be good, you be evil, so on and so forth. And I think that's what narrative play. I recently, I think my first real thing into this game was actually at your house playing the Hobbit scenarios, where I think it was like Band of Brass Took versus Golfing Bowl. I think.
Oh yeah.
And it was freaking just like, it was just like, yeah, this is sick. A freaking Hobbit going up against a orc captain. This is awesome.
That was the invention of golf scenario. That's so much fun, that one. And it's what I like about those ones as well, you would remember that on like a small board. So it was, I think, on a 2 foot by 4 foot board. Yep. And there's something really dynamic about that because you can get those looking really good and it scales really nicely. So I do like those little small ones you can put on a table. And I show people those to start off the game. If someone wants to be introduced to the game, I give them the scenario. You don't want to give them a points match game to start off with and turn it into that really hyper competitive one. But no, that's a good memory. I like that.
That's so fair. So Jeremy, just like from what I'm gathering, is very much like you for this hobby. I can tell by like the painting that we're seeing on the screen because my PowerPoint's kind of working. There's no just a standard 3 colors and a wash. It's non-metallic metal, woods of grain aren't just painted, but like actually highlighted to a point to, show a bit of where the light would hit. Like you're the love of the models and the building a picture. I think scenario play fits perfectly in that niche. Is that fair to assume here?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of it's about aesthetics for me. It's an excuse to be creative and paint some stuff. And yeah, I tend to, all my models are pretty much painted roughly the same standard. You can see that some of them are, well, I think on the PowerPoint, most of them are pretty new ones. But I go back in time, I can see how my painting style has changed a little bit. Some things have become more efficient. But I do like putting 2 forces together, and I like gathering those forces together. So this Iron Hills Ballista, like I've got a whole Gundabad force that I put against it all the time. And that's, I really like that lineup as well. So all go to town on that, paint the models as much as I like. And it gives me a purpose as well, because when you paint for like lists and things, you tend to get really weird collections of models and like 7 models with spear and 5 with shield. Whereas you go for the scenario, you can get a much more nice force, a broad force here. And then you've got the backs of the Dale guys here.
Yeah, you've hit a great point. This is something that I've noticed my hobby's changing a little bit too. I'm not going to lie, I jumped from 40k, and with 40k, it was, it was hyper competitive, air quotes. I've got thoughts on that. But like the models that you were purchasing, it was like 9 of one unit and then none of the other units. So your collection felt jarred, not so much like a collection of models. And then now I think SBG has been such a juxtaposition because now you can actually purchase, I can sell one 40k army and buy like 6 SBG armies because you don't need as many
that's
models. Good. And theoretically, like if you really wanted to, you can just go print a whole army as well.
Yep.
You know, I am a big GW simp. I like if I can get a GW model without it costing me $150, I'll get it. Because that's just a personal preference as well. But if I can't do that, then I go down a 3D printing avenue as well. But I've found that my collections have become collections now. They haven't become this is this list, this is this. You know what I mean? It's like I can take multiple variants of Angmar, I can take multiple variants of Mordor, you know, and I enjoy having that collection of shit. So it's nice. It's definitely, and I think my painting has reflected that as well. There's more time and there's more care with what I'm painting because, well, it's going to be sitting and staying with me for a lot longer, not just 1 or 2 tournaments and then off we go.
Oh, absolutely. And there is, I recently had a bit of a cull for a lot of my gaming stuff because it's a bit of a realization that I've got way too much stuff and I'm trying to tell the kids to get rid of some of their stuff that they're not using anymore and being a hypocrite and keeping like so much stuff in there. So I sold off a bunch, but nothing of the Lord of the Rings I've painted. Lots of other game systems that I've painted, just get rid of. But these ones they have so much memories for me. And I know that with this scenario system as well, I can always just bring them back in for whatever. So there's looking through this PowerPoint, there's a lot of these that don't have rules at the moment. They might be getting them soon, they might not be, but it doesn't matter to me really because these scenarios, they're on my bookshelf still. I can still put them back on the table. I've got the old rules for them. I can do a bit of a DIY and I've got these collections and I can always have games that look like what I imagine that the wargaming should be, which is mostly aesthetics. A lot of people are having a strategic game, but we're playing with models that we spend hours and hours painting and collecting and we pay a fortune. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the Games Workshop stuff. You can see most of these, but also there's a 3D print right in the middle of that one there with a Medbury sculpt that fits right in. So yeah, you just take whatever it looks and blend it all together. And yeah, I think, yes, that's important. And I think narrative play does really assist that. But it also encourages it because not no one. I can always play the points match games and I do. And people who play points match games can always play the scenarios. It's not us versus them. It just might be things that I prefer a certain style of gaming, but it doesn't mean I don't play the other styles as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get very doom and gloom, especially when they did the legacies. And they took a lot of models out of the game for match play guide, like competitive points. Yet, if you're wanting to still keep your models, it's not like a flog them off on eBay or try and get rid of them. Just play some scenarios with them, or hell, make your own scenario with them. Like I'm trying to rack my brain now to think to myself, can I potentially do a tournament based around narrative play?
Yeah,
that's the dream. That's the dream.
It's an interesting one because like you all of a sudden combine it. But I just think narrative play, you're wanting it to be a chilled experience. At the end of the day, as Jeremy said, we're playing with toy soldiers. Yeah. Like we're not making money from these tournaments that we're going to. No, so when people try and play these games ultra competitively and they want to be like, oh, I'm gonna just not engage with you because I have VPs for the entirety of the game, it's like, what am I doing here? I'm wasting 2 hours of my time sitting there doing nothing, just letting you shoot me or whatever it may be. And it's like, versus when you actually get down to the nitty gritty, it's not meant to be like that. The whole point is meant to be a skirmish game, and that's where narrative play incentivizes that. And to me, is almost like the OG core of what this game was meant to be, right? We weren't meant to freaking sit back and just shoot bows at each other and become Warhammer 40k. We were meant to freaking actually get into the thick of it and play for objectives, whether it's getting off that opponent's board edge, capturing that terrain piece, or capturing that hero and taking him off said board edge, whatever it may be. I think that's why I've found a new love with narrative play ever since I've done a few scenarios now. I've done one with you, Jeremy, and I've done now 3 or 4 with Kylie as of recently, just to sort of detox from the competitive aspect. And I will say it's been one of the more refreshing things to bring me back to just go, you know what? I can just chill. I can just vibe with the game itself and not have to worry about, oh my God, did I make the right move? No.
Yeah.
And go from there.
And I play Kylie pretty regularly, and I prefer to play a scenario against it. Because like you know, playing Kylie, like she doesn't turn off the games. Like everything has got to go as hard as possible. And a scenario play is good because she can go as hard as possible. That's all fine because it limits.
It's limited.
It's not going to be like just rip me off the table and waste half an hour when she wipes the floor with me. But we've become better players for that as well. Like just these little scenarios that you have and move backwards and forwards. It's definitely a good way to play. The question of how to run a tournament for it, I think it's probably just that bingo card type thing where you just have them set up, the games ready to go and reward people in a different way. It's not about the result. It's about tick off. Did you play aim on hand? Yes, tick the box there. Did Aragorn call a heroic combat? Yes, tick the box. Did you do this? And play that way, I think is probably the way to go.
You could even have like secret objectives hidden under the actual table itself for that scenario. Yeah. And if you reveal them, you both keep it to yourselves. But after the game's done, you reveal it and go, "Did you tick any of these? Perfect. Do you tick these? What about evil? Did you tick any of these?" And then you go, "Okay, who won?" And that way it stays secret for that scenario, and you just kind of keep it rotating and keep doing different scenarios for everyone. It's an interesting idea. I like it, but the complexities I just don't want to.
When I used to. Sorry, I just put an anecdote on that one, Jay. I'm cutting you off in your own podcast. So you listen to me now. I used to, when I ran like Masters years and years ago, when we first started that out, I had a bunch of small scenarios that I knew took about 20 minutes to half an hour. And I just had them sitting on the side and just had a little, people could keep track of their records for it. So when you immediately went to those competitive games, you got thrashed after half an hour, which happens at those games sometimes. You just come up against someone who's just, they're better equipped to be in the scenario. You just move over and you take them for a bit of a date to the Weathertop table and see how you go with that one. And I found that was really popular. People got to play stuff they never would play before because these were mostly heavy competitive tournament players. They knew the rules inside out, but to play something different, models are there, the terrain was there. Just go on this 2x2 table and play a little Hobbit scenario.
I like that. If you, as beautiful listeners, have actually ran a narrative scenario or have ideas on that, let us know in the comments below, or better yet, jump on Discord and have a chat with me around your experience or even your thoughts. I would love to hear them. One of my most favorite tournament memories was we finished our game early and there were three of us all just kind of sitting around. The fourth person left to go get lunch, and we're all sitting here being like, well, we've got an hour to go. And I'm like, righto, grab your monsters, and we're literally just going to play on like a 1 foot, and we just had like a full Monster Mash brawl. And honestly, that 20 minutes, half an hour was probably the most fun because the most dumb bullshit things happened during that little time, and that was really quite great. And I thought if we could have a whole day of moments, I think that's going to really be a highlight tournament for me.
I mean, to be honest, narrative play is what got Chelsea or my partner into the hobby. So like for her to be able to go, oh my god, that's like, I literally see Haldir in the movie. Oh yes, perfect, I can actually apply him here. So as I'm looking over at her right now, so that's how I got her into the hobby itself. She loved Gil-galad. She was like, he's fight 9, unstoppable. And then I bring out Sauron, and it's like mono fight, and she's like, I don't know if I like Sauron.
no, definitely not.
You fucking hate the Balrog then.
Exactly. Now that he doesn't have strike, absolutely. Either way. Cool.
Yeah, wow. All right, so before this, I asked Jeremy to send me through his favorite scenarios. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tier list these bad boys. So we're just going to preface this. I've just found random photos when I typed this scenario into Google, and I just found the first one and shoved it in. So I know the order of these, and the way this is going to work is I'm going to say it out, and then Jeremy's going to talk to me about the scenario, what happens, and then we're going to try and see what tier it should be. S tier means that everyone should play this, no questions asked. A tier, still a great scenario, but not the cream of the crop. B tier, middle of the road. It's just your run-of-the-mill scenario. C tier, it exists. D tier, it's like Sean picking up Dale for the sake of picking it up and shooting.
acquired taste, maybe
Let's go with a quiet. Yeah, let's go.
Because none of these scenarios are bad.
let's
like
leave
these
Sean
ones are
there.
good ones, but there's going to have to be some in D because it's going to be pretty boring if I put every single one in S tier, which is very tempting. But no, I won't do that. But it's more the ones that I really enjoy it, but be warned, it might be one that is a bit harder to get into, and it might be something that's a little bit wacky there. So I think that's a good way of putting it. The S tier ones are definitely ones that are accessible to everyone, and I highly recommend them playing it. And look, I might even mention which ones are my favorites, but I might not put my favorites into S tier as well because I think some of them might be really tricky to put together.
So the first one here is the Golem's Escape.
So this was a relatively new scenario. This one came out in, I think, Defense of the North, which had a lot of scenarios, like huge amount of scenarios, and they were incredibly unbalanced. They were all over the place in the scenarios. It looked like they had put them together in like a weekend, and so many good ideas. And I tried every single one of them and went through them, and they were, well, you had to do some serious work to them. I had no idea what they were thinking with these ones. But this one was a little tiny one where Golem just had to escape for it. And I just love those ones. And they clearly play tested this one. Like out of all the scenarios in there, I think it's just because it was small enough. They actually tried it, which was really good. I love it when they do that. And it was a lot of fun. And I love focusing on these sort of support characters like a Golem trying to escape the elves and that sort of stuff. And I know that we're probably gonna get some more of that in the future. But Hunt for Golem, very accessible scenario. Only a small amount of models, tiny amount, Golem focused, lots of basic troops, orcs and things like that. But it's not the most amazing scenario in the world. You're not going to show it to a new player and they're going to say, this is my game. So it's probably going to be a C tier to start out with that one.
Ooh.
Man, so just your standard
It's a standard one. Yeah, I like it, but it's not going to blow anyone away. You're not going to get a convert to the game with this scenario. They're not going to look at this and go, this is the game for me.
Okay.
Okay.
This next one here is Almond Sul.
Well, Almond Sul is the Weathertop, and this one has been since the very first book. So I used the 2001 version, the original one, but I've got the Forge World piece of terrain, and this one it looks beautiful. I managed to get a second hand, so it didn't cost me the mortgage on the house, which was nice. But none of the models fit in it. Like, it doesn't fit a base anywhere. So I had to go and rebase an entire half the Fellowship, the Hobbits and Aragorn, and all 9 ring wraiths onto little washers. So I have my own set of models specifically for this. And it's that good of a scenario that I had to do this. So it's hard to get the terrain piece. I'm sure that, I don't know, maybe some of the 3D printed terrain companies can start making these ones there. Really hard to get the terrain piece. Yeah, Conquest, do it. It's a good one.
I think Jacob's doing it. He's doing a Kickstarter for it soon.
Oh, get onto this one. Amazing scenario, and this is one that I bring to the tournaments when I have it around because it's an amazing piece of terrain, and we absolutely love it. It's such a good scenario. You've got to play a little bit with the older rules because the magic's changed so much with the wraiths that they've stopped acting like they used to. So I might put a little summary sheet there. But this one, I'll probably put into A tier for the looks, the appearance, and for accessibility. I wouldn't go to S just because getting the terrain piece is a huge amount of work. So I think that would be look, that one does convert people to the game. That one's a really good scenario. Once you solve it, it probably loses a little bit of replayability. But after that, I think it's a fantastic one. If you have not tried that one, find a version and try that one.
Right, I'll try it next weekend. This next one is Fog of the Barrow.
Oh, Fog on the Barrow Downs. This scenario came out initially in Shadow and Flame, which is the first supplement book we ever got. This is a great time, actually, because I was getting told by all kinds of people, don't play Lord of the Rings. It's going to be gone in 3 years. It's as soon as the movies are over, it's there. And then we got a supplement. And there was hope. We might it might last longer than 3 years. And this one introduced Tom Bombadil and the Barrow Wights playing in a book scenario where you basically had to paralyze hobbits and had to revive them. The caveat does not work in the new rules. Barrow Wights are way too tough now. They've got multiple wounds now. They've got 3+ paralyze. Get rid of that. 4+ paralyze, 1 wound, and you have possibly the most enjoyable scenario ever made. It's gone. It's been reprinted over and over and over again. This one, look, it's going to have to go in S tier. It's easy to get it. It's a handful of models. I think it's about 5 models a side. And I think if you want to get the Barrows, Conquest Creations is putting them out at the moment. Find some way to get that. I played a scenario on that recently. It wasn't this one. It should have been this one. This one is amazing. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. There is not a single scenario that changes the way the game plays, and it's just more interesting than this one. It's so good. Love it.
Do you find, because I think, is this also in Quest of the Ring Bearer, but you get Goldberry as well?
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
that correct? Because like, but I don't know, is this one the OG? Are you saying the OG version with just Tom is the best, or would you say the Quest of the Ring Bearer where it adds in Goldberry? That's exactly. Come on, man. Hey, I
look,
scenarios
I like,
sometimes.
Look, they both work. Like every version of this one, except with the current rules, is great. So
do you find that you would tell people or advise people to go, cool, we're gonna reduce the barrow wights to 1 wound, still keep the 5?
It depends, because initially Tom didn't have that banish the spell, so he couldn't kill them. Now that he can kill them, I think I would just take that spell off him. I would go back to the old rules. You can take the Goldberry one, that's fine as well. It doesn't really make a difference, because the big secret in this one is once Tom shows up, they're going to win. The hobbits will eventually survive. It's that anticipation to see what the barrow wights can do before Tom Bombadil shows up. He basically finishes the game off for it, and if you haven't completed your mission by then, if you haven't sacrificed the hobbit, dragged them into the barrow and killed them off, then you're not going to. He comes and he sings a song and they go away. So yeah, bring Goldberry in because she's a fun model as well. But definitely watch out, because the new rules will absolutely kill this one with the him sniping off barrow wights from range and them having multiple wounds. It's a weird one, but definitely have a go. Use whatever one you like for it. It's just well worth having a try for it.
Awesome, cool.
All right, the next one is Ambush at Athelion.
Ambush at Athelion. This one, I love the image of this one. The Mumaks walking down the road and the Rangers shooting it out. And every single time I put this on the table, I've just looked and said, yes, this is Lord of the Rings for me. It was my favorite scene in the book where you got Faramir seeing them there. It's I love this. This from a scene point of view. Unfortunately, none of the scenarios have just sort of met up with that. It seems to be one where once you find out what the Mumaks are doing, you pretty much know who's going to win these ones after all. I do like the more recent one though. There was one that came out in, I think it was the last Lord of the Rings Armies book, and it was pretty good. It had 2 Mumaks running down there, and you had some interesting ones because one tend to get bogged down pretty quickly. This one would be one of my top scenarios if the gameplay was up to the look for it. This one has the best look. It looks so amazing, but it can be a bit of a you stampede the Mumak, it crashes into a tree, it blows up, and then it's game over type scenario. So probably let's fill out the B slot for this one. I think it needs a bit of work in terms of the gameplay, but in terms of look, it's once again, I will show people the scenario to get them into the game because the Mumak going down there is just, it's Lord of the Rings.
Yep. Cool. I think this one is Bywater.
Oh,
yeah, this is the Battle of Bywater.
Okay, this straight out is my favorite scenario. It is the one that I like the most. I think it's Siege on the smallest board you've ever seen. So it's a 2x3 board. The original one from the first one, they've changed it a little bit, and I don't know why, because it was perfect. It was 15 ruffians against like 24 hobbits and the hobbit heroes, but the ruffians just keep coming back every turn, and then Sharky shows up, and the good side, all they have to do is just kill Sharky. But he's got 15 continuous ruffians coming back. You get D3 a turn. And the good side, I say the evil side, all they have to do is kill the 4 hobbits, kill the 4 travelers. But you get this moving siege where the little hedges end up being like a siege wall, but you have to abandon it at times. So you jump to different walls and you're running around the board, and the hobbits can come on any edge of the board. The ruffians only come on the path. So what happens is the hobbits start to die. The travelers call back reinforcements on a roll of 6, which hardly ever happens. And then you get like one hobbit archer just coming on there and trying to take a shot at Sharky while the game's getting really tough. It's a long game. It doesn't look like it's on a tiny board. It goes for a couple hours, but it's always one that's exciting. It keeps changing. It keeps moving. I really enjoy this one. That said, from a General Republic's point of view, you've got to have some hobbit holes for the Bywater. You've got to have really quite abstract armies, really. Ruffians. Who has ruffians? Ruffians, and you've got to have some hobbits. Luckily, the first version only had 15 ruffians and the 24 hobbits. It wasn't a huge amount.
Doable.
I mean, you could always right now supplement them for Hill Tribesmen if you really if you want to use a conversion.
100%.
Proxy them. Like this isn't like the beauty of narrative play, as well as if you want to proxy them. I did a bunch of proxying with when I first got into the game with Huon. Do 100%. If you want to do these scenarios, do it.
And I think the Hobbits have also gotten much stronger. So I would go the old, weaker version of the Hobbits as well, because they bumped them up and they're absolute fighting machines now. So I really like the old version of this. I made a board for it. I was so proud of this one. I love this one. But that said, can I give it S tier? I would like to, but just because it's so abstract, I'm probably going to go A tier for this one. But it is my favorite scenario, knowing that. I think it's
I'll put it at the top of the
I think you have an appreciation for it in the sense. I just don't think a lot of people would go, let's play Hobbits as the going into the hobby.
Correct.
So that's where I could definitely, in terms of play, I would 100%, I would agree with that.
And it's probably not as beginner friendly as it looks, because the rules are simple, but the game goes on forever because of the constant reinforcements. So I wouldn't show this to someone as their first game either. It's someone for people who know the game and want to have that real narrative experience. But every game is a brilliant story, and the way that you shift and you have these Hobbit defenders manning this wall, and then they lose it, so they run to a different wall, and the ruffians reposition for it, and then you start throwing a whole bunch of rocks to try and get rid of those ruffians. It's a blast.
Okay, I want to play that. Okay, this is my pick for the top. This is the Helm's Deep, where they have to hold the line or whatever it was.
The Helm's Deep,
not the blowing up portion. Which part?
No.
Which part is this one?
This is the original Helm's Deep, which was hidden in a book called Siege of Gondor. It was in an appendix, and it was on a 4x4 board where you had the entirety of the middle part of that. You had multiple walls to defend. It goes for about 4 hours, this game. It's a 15-turn one, and it is the most perfect scenario that I've ever... Like, every game, the full 4 hours feels balanced. It comes down to knife edge. You have to capture 5 points on the board, and you have some bombs and that. You've got to decide whether you use them to blow up the gate or whether you run up the ramp with them while Legolas is pinning shots at you, trying to get them to the next level, try to blow up Aragorn with them. It's just pure brilliance. It's so much fun. It has so many models. It's like 70 models on the evil side, and this is an old school Siege, so it's against about 20 models on the good side. So you've got to hold off of that. And the evil models just keep coming back. So they recycle. So it is a proper Siege. It is proper nervous. Like, when you kill a good model, it feels amazing. You've got people being thrown off ladders. You've got walls being blown up. It is absolutely amazing. It is so inaccessible to anyone who's not got a Helm's Deep. It's not funny. Plus, you've got to dig up this old scenario in there. But it is the Helm's Deep version. It is so good. It's just... I don't know. This one... Helm's Deep?
He's torn. I've never seen him torn like this.
Put it in S tier.
It's got to be, right?
Put it in S tier. It is the perfect scenario. Yep. You just have to come to my house and play it then.
You know what?
I'm down.
I will make it. I will find, and/or actually, what's his name? Microforge Mini. Albert. Him and I are doing a project to build Helm's Deep. So I'm going to build Helm's Deep, and I promise I will put it on YouTube. I will play this scenario.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. It's just, it's a great one. Once again, caveat, dig up the old... Although the rules probably don't make a huge difference. They didn't have March then, so you couldn't reinforce there, but it's probably not going to make a difference. It's a proper Siege. It's so hard to get through the walls, and when you take out a one Rohan defender, it just feels so good, and eventually Uruk-hai will get there, and you'll pull back to the next level of the Deep and go guard the Hornburg. It's just good.
Oh, seriously, yeah. Wicked. Okay. And then this one here is Rise of the Necromancer. It's not the exploration one. It was the other one that you sent me, Jeremy.
Oh, I put this one on. This is a really interesting one. Usually single model scenarios, we have one model aside, is absolute duds. They put in a pack of cards and say through this. I think if this is the one that I hit, is this the exploration of Dol Guldur we're talking about?
The other one that you sent me.
The Fall of the Necromancer, is it?
Yep.
It should be the Fall, because if that's the one where you have Círdan, you have Arwen, the OG. I played
the Fall of the Necromancer.
Fall of the Necromancer. Okay. I'm on the same page now. Yeah, Fall of the Necromancer. It came out in one of those early supplements. It is so out of date now. Like, half the models are not in there. It's not in the movie. It's just a hero fight. So you just have hero after hero on Reinforcer. They just come on, beating each other up. They're all reserves. You start off with, I think it's just the Necromancer and like 2 elves. and then it just keeps ramping up, and it's just you get to throw all kinds of might and heroics and will and the necromancer's just killing everything in sight, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff comes on. And it's on a tiny little board, so it's on a 2x2 board. It's really, really good. The problem is that it's like it's been redone in the movies, and they've got this new one which is nowhere near as good with the all the wraiths in there. Nothing acts like it is anymore. So it's pure, like, I don't know, what do they do? What do they call it when they it's as legacy as it comes. It's so sort of old there. Tyler's making letters there. I don't know. Was that a C, Tyler? I don't think so.
It was a wannabe S. It was a wannabe S here for me because I loved this scenario because Kylie showed this to me literally 3 months ago.
No, it can't be. It can't.
It's so good though.
But they're all so good. That's why they're on this list. So
they're like this one. I just find for me was quickly you can actually attain a lot of the heroes within it, and you can get a lot of the models, right? It's not a high model count scenario. No. It's played on a 2x2. You can quickly set up terrain to accommodate it, and then it's just I just felt like it was such a jarring back and forth affair. We played it with the new rules in mind, so we played it where everyone had strike and so on and could combat, etc. And it was just like, man, this scenario was just fire. However, like obviously the good side has a higher tendency to win, but you do feel like at times it can be on a nice edge if you don't pick a paradigm with it. That's why I love the back and forth affair of the scenario.
Look, I get that, but also it doesn't. It's hard for something like it's not nowhere near as iconic as the Helm's Deep or something on those levels.
That's fair.
It's even for current players, they're going to look and say, what the hell are you doing? They're not going to know what we're playing with that one compared to even the Hobbit one with those models, at least somewhat iconic in that you can see exactly what's going on with the 9 wraiths of the armor and the necromancer. So look, from a gameplay point of view, this is absolute tops. But from an aesthetics point of view, I don't think it quite hits the S tier level there. So I see that vote there. Let's put it in A, Tyler. You've convinced me there. I probably would have gone maybe even one lower, but let's put it in A because I think that's
put it at low A.
There's a low A? No, surely not.
Yeah,
this is high A. The closer you are to A, it's a high A.
Yeah.
This is like an A minus. This is an A minus.
Okay. Yeah, we're not.
Okay. I just think this is like, I think to be an S tier, like these are all good scenarios. I think it has to be one that people would look at and go, I'm converting to this game. And I think that one, you need such a high knowledge of the game to make it make sense. And I think
you get Hero Hammer, you get like Glorfindel, you get Elrond, you get all these heroes that you're like,
okay.
That for me anyway, that's what I was convinced. I was like, I get Eristor, Arwen, I get all these heroes. This is freaking sick. Sounds great.
Brother, I feel like Jeremy was about to knock this shit into C tier.
Look, you can knock it wherever, Jeremy. You don't have to listen to me. I loved this scenario. This is actually what convinced me to play more narrative play with Kylie. So
I like that. Look, you've brought it up to A tier. It's right. I probably would have hovered around BC to me. And look, I'm over the moon that you got that experience for it. And that was our experience playing it, but you need to be at a pretty high level to get the most out of this one because it's not just a casual throw it down. You need to be having a spreadsheet of all the stats you're going through and all the heroics and things you're doing.
That's true.
God, where's Alex?
I had a whiteboard. I had a huge whiteboard that was just like,
This next one is Aid to Fornost.
Aid to Fornost. Ooh, what was that one again?
In the latest Shadow is Angmar.
Oh, yeah. That's another little. It's a mini Hobbit one. So it's a couple rangers that have to escort hobbits off the board on a little tiny board, and it's against some orcs. And I just love this one because the orc captains are like the scariest villains in the world in this one. So I think there's 1 or 2 orc captains in it, and you could not be more like they might as well be the Balrog in this scenario. Like they are so damn scary because you've got rangers and the hobbits there, and the hobbits is just sort of waddling off. And normally in this scenario like this, you would stand there. I've got the shooting force. I'm just going to wipe out the orcs in shooting in 2 turns. But because you have to get off the board, you don't want to do that. So the hobbits, even though they've got their bows and things, they have to make a legitimate choice. Am I going to stop to shoot or am I just going to keep running? And the rangers can be heroic. The rangers of the north, I think, which are just rangers now. So they've got the 1 attack and 1 might, so they're weak as anything, but they're the heroic, but they're not part of the victory condition. So you can just throw them away. So they go in and they bravely take on these terrible orc captains and eventually get squished by them. And it's so accessible in terms of the amount of models. Like it's tiny amount of models that's ones that most people have, except maybe the Hobbit archers. But look, I think it was the highlight of the Rise of Angmar has a lot of good scenarios in it. That's the current team's best lot of scenarios. Like a lot of them, they're finding their way for it. But the Rise of Angmar, heaps of good ones, and because they make those captains like have their own personality, so those Orc captains are scary as anything. But it's not an iconic scene. It's not. It doesn't even look that. I think there's some that showed up in the slides. It doesn't even look that pretty because you've got hobbits in a forest board running across for it. So.
Is it a standard run of the mill?
It's a standard, yeah, C standard, isn't it? It's got to be a standard one.
Damn. Is it better or worse than the Golem's Escape?
I think it's on par with that. I think they're both very similar in that you're focusing on a couple heroes there. Is it better or worse? You need to know that. It's better, just.
Better, just. Okay.
Just.
Easy.
Damn.
Nice.
All right. This is the Out of Bounds barrels.
Oh, Barrows Out of Bond. This one.
There you go.
I don't know how they fluked this one to start with. It was a good scenario. You basically had these models that I don't know if you can still get them anymore, but they were the Hobbit heroes in barrels, and you put them on water and you basically push them down the river. And they had rules for going down the river, and the orcs had to jump from the shore onto the barrels to try and chop them up, rip these hobbits out of their barrels and chuck them in the water. While you had Legolas and Tauron sort of running along the side with Mirkwood Rangers trying to shoot down the orcs. And
this is about as iconic as it gets, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was such a good scenario, and it's so wacky and so much fun, and you just got that. I haven't seen anything like that in Rings, where you have basically the dwarves in barrels are just moving down the river. So every turn they're going to move no matter what. So you can't just stop them. You can't attack them in combat. They're all moving. So they're floating down the river, but the orcs are going to jump on them. They're going to try and attack them, and the orcs get the initiative in terms of choosing which barrels to jump in. So if you know Dwalin's in a barrel, he's going to beat you up. You just stay out of his barrel and go shoot him with the bows and jump into, I don't know, Balin's barrel or Ori's barrel. Yeah, and do that. So what you had as well is Legolas and Tara could jump on the barrels and try and do like heroic combats and do multiple combats there. So they're jumping after the orcs on the barrels. It was an absolute nightmare to try and get all the models balanced. You had to like put the models on top of bases, which is weird for this game. But it was so wacky and so different that it had to be on my list. It's definitely one of my favorite scenarios. Once again, I made a board for it specifically and love playing through this one. Later on, they reprinted it a couple times and made it worse each time. So I just think it was a fluke that they got it so good in the first time. But it's just such a. I don't think that most people could play it. Like it's just you have to have hobbits in barrels. So you're probably gonna have to find one of your 3D printers that do that, or convert them up, or go somewhere like that. So
you could convert that shit. That can't.
Absolutely.
That wouldn't be too hard.
And I think if anyone's as passionate about narrative scenarios as me, they're going to be doing all these scenarios anyway. So everything's going to be S tier for them. But for the normal people, this one's it's such a fun scenario and it looks so cool, but it's...
Accessibility is going to be the biggest
so
killer.
Low in accessibility, even less so than the other stuff, because it's just the key models are ones that are so wacky and so different. B
tier.
Let's go B. Let's go B.
If you said C, I would have arced up.
I would have responded. I would have been like,
no, it's above those two definitely.
Scenario.
Yeah. It's a great scenario, but it's it's bloody hard to put it together, and you have to be willing to make it. Like, who has a board that's like mostly river as well? Like, you can't play that. People hate that stuff. So I've got a board that I can't bring to any tournaments because it's just a river.
How big is it played on?
4x6.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a big board.
Oh my gosh!
Sick.
It's a long river travel, and literally the models run right down the river. It covers the whole board. So a good scenario uses the entire board. You don't just camp in a corner and there. You move around the board, because what's the point playing on a massive board if you're not going to use it? And this one uses the whole board. It starts at one side. All the models are just running down, trying to chase after these dwarves as they bumble along in their barrels and move down the river.
That's cool. All right, this next one is the Freedom Hobbits scenario.
Freedom Hobbit scenario. You've got such a different way of saying all the other ones. Is it Flight to Freedom from the Hobbit?
There you go, Freedom Hobbits.
Yeah, perfect. This one was released with the Hobbit strategy battle game, and it was with models straight out of the box of that. So it was Thorin's company against the Goblin King and a whole bunch of goblins on the Goblin Town terrain that they had. Mm-hmm. And this one's just so much fun. Like the dwarves have no weapons to start with, So they have to go and run towards the Goblin King with no weapons and
I know
hope
where
they
this is.
don't wake him up, grab their weapons, and then leg it off. So you can go without weapons if you want, but then you're up against goblins who are surprisingly formidable. When you get two goblins back each other up, because they don't have to worry about killing you, because if you lose combats, you potentially fall right off the bridge as well. So there's a real sort of fear factor in that, and you're constantly moving. You just got to escape through the Goblin Town stuff. So it's my favorite Goblin Town like Thorin's Company type scenario, and it's one that when the Hobbit movies are out, this is perfect to put on the table because everyone recognised it straight out. I feel like that's probably gone a little bit by the wayside, and it does require very specialised terrain. You need some sort of paths. It's not hard to do. People can do wooden planks anytime now. We've got there's never been a better time to be able to do that. You just print a whole bunch of wooden planks and away you go. So, but it does take the effort to go and put that together. So, what have we got between? It's Thorin's Company, so that's really good. I like this one. I think this one's probably A tier.
I'm thinking above the Necromancer.
Above Necromancer. What else do we have? Scaring the Shire. Nothing goes above Scaring the Shire. No, it's got to be below Scaring the Shire. And what was the other one we've got in that corner there?
We're the top.
No, it's not below. Yeah, that's the perfect spot for it.
Yep,
Cool.
perfect. Easy. Hey.
This one I feel is self-explanatory. This is Balin's Tomb.
Oh, Balin's Tomb is... This is the one scenario that everyone who's played a scenario has played, because it is the Fellowship, it's the Cave Troll. They have a Cave Troll moment. You get to say that every time the Cave Troll comes on. The Fellowship has no problem whatsoever wiping the table with this army. You have to do some work if you want it to be a challenge, because it's once you've learned how to use the Fellowship, it's absolute easy mode, but it is perfect for teaching people how to use heroes. If you want to make it harder, you just make more goblins there, or you take some stats off the Fellowship. It's easy to adjust. It's on a small board. So many people have made such good looking Balin tombs. You can use the old plastic stuff that Games Workshop put out. Lots of companies have printed stuff out for it. It's just... Every community I go to has someone that's made a Balin's Tomb. Like whether they put it as a board, it is really common. It is I had to have a Fellowship scenario in this list, and that's the Fellowship scenario that I've got there. I think it's the most enjoyable one. It's a moment that people remember, and I think it's one you can just get casuals to play this one. So I'll get, if they don't want to play Lord of the Rings, I could put this down as a little tiny board. You give them a little printout of the cards for what their heroes can do, or you get them to play the goblins, and they just love this one. So, this one, it's probably sitting in the A tier. Like I see it on the same level as all those ones. My issue with this one more than anything is that the scenario itself is just easy mode for the Fellowship. It's just they really, if you know how to play the game, they're not even threatened.
Listen, I'm gonna interject real quick. I had a moment.
Did you?
A year and a half ago, went up to Masters. It was our Saturday night. We started playing this. Turn one, I thought my Gandalf player was gonna cast Blinding Light. He did not. So then I think it was like 6 Goblin Archers shoot at my Legolas, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to shed these. They did 5 wounds.
Yep, that's the old school way.
And they just took them off. I was like, I feel like I stuffed up here. I should have called a heroic shoot if I knew that was going to happen. But yeah,
and that's where this one, I think, more than any other scenarios, the Fellowship has got such improvements to their quality of life. Gandalf's spell list, like just having Blinding Light, and he doesn't have that super terrifying one, does he anymore?
He does. He still does.
That thing just destroys the scenario. So if he can't be charged, he's in trouble. So you've got to either strip it right back or make it real hard mode for them, and you can do that by, you can't really put more goblins in, but you can put more goblin captains in if you want to do that. So you can give them there. You can soup up your troll, make the troll come back every time it dies, just bring another one on. You can do some things to make it worthwhile. But yeah, as I said, it's the old rules. It was perfect because you had much more limited things you can do with the Fellowship, and you had to really focus on saving Frodo and making sure he's there. Now they've made Fellowship competitive. It's scenarios like this just are laughable. Fellowship can easily take down 24 goblins and a troll. But yeah,
I don't know, like the scene, that troll was a menace.
That boy should be like fight 8. Like,
bro, do you remember playing the computer game where you had to run around and the troll would smack you randomly? He'd hit like random sections. I don't know what it was called. It's on like the PlayStation 1 or some shit.
Yeah.
Bro, I have never screamed for my life as a 5-year-old Him running away from that stupid troll. God, it was terrifying.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all of a sort of certain age, like that's such a core memory to have that first time. Because that's the first time the Fellowship in the movies felt really under threat, wasn't it? It's like, oh crap, there's a troll, and this big monster comes in and skewers Frodo up, and he's got the mithril armor on, which just happens to save him. That was all very lucky. It's such a brilliant scene. So I don't think I could put it lower than A, but in terms of gameplay, it's nowhere near any of these other ones. So yeah, I think that's it.
I think it's the bottom of A.
I think it's the bottom of A, and I think you play it. It is an experience every time. It's great fun, but if you want it to be a competitive game, you need to do some serious DIY on it.
It's nice that it's got some flexibility. This next one is the Southern Armies.
Oh, this one. This one's going to be one that only I like. Against the, I've got it next to me just to remember what it is. It's in the it's in a book.
Is this the
Gondor
one
in
with
Flames?
Is this the one with Prince Imrahil where he's asleep and they have to go and hunt
I
him while he's
swear,
asleep?
I'm the only one who has ever played this scenario. It's called Against the Southern Horde, and I'll just go through the participants really quickly. It's Boromir, the captain of White Tower on horseback with lance and shield, one captain of Minas Tirith on with lance and shield, and 23 knights of Minas Tirith, one with a banner. So it's just all mounted Gondor, which is just looks amazing, and it's on the weirdest size board. It's on a 24, so 2 foot by 6 foot board, so a 2x6 board, which is perfect. There's a whole bunch of tents there, and the tents light on fire. So the fire spreads throughout the scenario, and it's these little tokens. So every time a model moves through the fire, they risk getting hurt for it. So basically, the evil side is trying to fan the flames and make them so that the good side has to run through these flames to try and get from one side of the board to the other, because it's just a breakthrough. But it's on such a narrow thing that the speed doesn't help you a huge amount. You've got to go and take it on. It's against all heaps of Haradrim. There's some Serpent Guards, some Serpent Riders, lots of Haradrim, but it's just such a fun scenario. And it's so fun to see Boromir on the horse in a scenario, just pushing through things and being... Boromir's a fun character. So this one, I absolutely love this scenario, but I don't think anyone else has... I don't think anyone else has played it. If they do, put it in the comments. I want to know the one person in the world that's played this scenario, because this one, I don't know. I feel like it's probably one that I have to do the proceed with caution. Don't paint up 24 Knights of Minas Tirith just to try this out. Get your gaming group together, because if you don't like this, you're going to invest a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't either exist anymore. Serpent Guards, Serpent Riders, or Minas Tirith Knights, a full mounted Gondor army. I don't know. Is that playable now, Tyler?
Battle of Fornos is
Oh, there we go. It's Battle of Fornos.
I have 20. Literally, I have 24 Minas Tirith Knights.
Okay, well, this is doing Battle of Fornos before Battle of Fornos. Weird board size, which you can just do that. Tents, weird terrain, weird armies, in a book that no one has and was a pretty crappy book at the time. It's top of D tier.
Oh damn. Okay.
Top of D. I love the scenario, but I this is the one that I'm not confident anyone else will like. It's just so weird, and the flame mechanic. It's a very niche one. It's not something that, as I said, I don't think anyone else has played it.
That's fair.
I don't even think the game designers played it. I think they just put this idea and just hope for it.
Yep, cool. This next one I'm really hoping is Boz's Last Stand. Last Stand of the Company.
No. That's a totally different one. That's one where from the Hobbit books, I think it's from There and Back Again, if I remember correctly.
It's exactly
you have all the dwarves, but except for the main one. So you don't have Thorin or Keely-Philly. They've all pissed off to their Ravenhill thing. So all the leftover dwarves, all the ones that no one cares about, the ones that don't say anything in the movie, they're stuck there and they're absolutely surrounded. We've got 24 Iron Hills dwarves, and there's just a horde of Gundabad orcs, and then every monster you can possibly imagine. So there's a couple of troll brutes, there's like 3 Gundabad trolls, there may be a catapult. I don't know if there is. I think there might even be. But it's like full monster mash. And the idea is you just run it, you leg it at one of the troll brutes, you try and get Biffy to jump on a troll brute and then start helping out. Because if you don't do that, you just get absolutely stuffed by like these 6 monsters. It's just brilliant. And it's just it's a full-on surrounded, like think high points match with the incredible thematic forces and cool moments. And I like it because Thorin's Company with Thor and all the others just feels like superhero mode. Whereas this one, you're left with all the ones with like the one attack. So they don't want to be fighting huge amounts of Gundabad orcs and trolls and things like that. But you've got this one glimmer of hope where your Biffet can just jump on a troll brute and try and help out that side of the battle. And as an evil player, you kind of don't mind this happening because it's a lot of fun, but also you need to commit your troll brutes because those things are the only way you're going to knock down Iron Hills dwarfs with any reliability. So you just want to be running into them and just smashing out, because 24 Iron Hills dwarfs is like nothing to sneeze at. That holds the line really well and protects the one attack. So you need to carve a hole in them. And you've got 2 troll brutes, so even if Biffet gets one, you still get the other and you still go nuts with it. So I just have so much fun with that one. That's my go-to as a, like, if we ever do a social evening at the end of a tournament and we're still people around for a game, I sneakily bring that one out because people's eyes light up and they all take a few heroes and they go, yeah, because those Gundabad trolls, they're just so imposing on the battlefield. It just looks brilliant.
Oh, they are phenomenal. They are phenomenal.
Nice.
Yeah, so that one,
Fuck, I
not.
misread that so hard. I thought it was Boromir's Last Stand.
No, that one's. I've never had a scenario that sort of matches the moment there because it's Lurtz walks up with a bow and shoots him.
Oh,
and it's like,
yeah, but like that is like one of my scenes.
Absolutely.
And like the arrow hits me through the screen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And that's one where it's just. The game just doesn't ever match up to that movie scene because that's just such a moment in the movies and so powerful. And you walk in there and the game's just like Lurtz just slowly walks up the board, gets his arrow out, uses his 3 points of might, and takes down Boromir. And
I might try and see if I can do like an adjusted scenario where the cartoon Lord of the Rings. Boromir in that scene takes like 50 arrows to the chest and just keeps carving. Like he gets angrier and just then eventually stops and then he gets finished up. But he's got like arrows hanging out. A very heroic moment.
You could do something along the lines of like the turn he fails to kill an Uruk-hai is the turn he dies. So he might be like dead, but you've just got to keep killing and just keep killing for as long as you can. And if you let the Uruk-hai get away or whatever, or get to the hobbits, you could just do some sort of timer that way. I think would be fantastic because that would be because it just doesn't have that moment. He just sort of he just sort of sits there. But back to the Thorins one, just looking at what we've got here. Hobbit movie stuff is hardly as iconic as the Lord of the Rings stuff. It doesn't have the main heroes. Like we've got all characters that casuals wouldn't even know who they were. The troll brutes are a bit controversial. People sometimes don't like the body horror stuff. I'm a big fan of that stuff. I would put it probably just behind Ambush in Ithilien. I think it's so you put it in B, put it behind the Mumak. Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty safe place for it. It looks great. It's one that people who know the game absolutely love. But if you don't know how to play the game, you wouldn't introduce someone to it. It's a big game with really abstract forces, which probably are unrecognizable to people who aren't as into it as we are.
That's fair.
I want to play it. I've got all the models for it too.
Oh, play. So good.
This next one is the Last Alliance.
Last Alliance. I have mixed feelings about Last Alliance. I've had some amazing Last Alliance games, and I've had some absolutely terrible ones where it's just been all over way too quickly for them. Usually Sauron comes across as pretty weak in these scenarios because he comes in there, he wants to kill things, and just the 4 heroes just go and they get to him, and once they get to him, they take him out. And it always feels anticlimactic a little bit to have the Lord of the Rings just be taken out easy for it. The best one I found, I think, was in the last edition where they had it in the Lord of the Rings book. It might be better now. I think even the new rules.
I think he would be better now because he Strike's
phenomenal.
Strike now being nerfed.
Strike's only at D3.
It feels menacing.
Like indirect monster buffs.
Yeah,
Sauron's very difficult to deal with.
This might be one of these scenarios from this list that's actually got better in this edition. Because I think, and like we all love the prologue scene, like that is just a phenomenal scene. I used to love this one because it had all the weapons appropriately, but now all the games do that now. So I'm a big fan of this one from the look point of view, from the gameplay point of view. It's never quite lived up to that, but I want to give it a go again in the new edition for it. So I think it's probably maybe I go the top of C for this one, in that. I haven't seen it working particularly well yet, but I think this is the edition for it.
I want to play this one so bad. I've heard
Yeah.
so many stories of you hosting people for Last Alliance, and I'm like, Last Alliance is my favorite faction in this game. And every time I'm like, I just want to play the scenario once. I do
I
wish.
just painted your Last Alliance army.
I know.
Get on it. Get on it.
I want to.
Yeah.
One thing I wish they did with this scenario was actually mimic it, I guess, closer to the books. I'm pretty sure. Don't Elendil and Gil-galad literally like ISO fight Sauron? Correct? Do they not them two tag team against Sauron at some point or duking it out and then they just all die at the same time? Am I going crazy? Or in theory die at the same time? Or am I going
Are you talking about from the movie?
No, not from the movie. The movie
Oh, in this one.
from the book. From the book
Yeah.
itself. From the book,
Oh.
is it they're duking it out? They
I don't know if you
basically
get the
all
detail
fall.
for it.
They all fall at the same time, and then basically Isildur just cuts the ring off of Sauron's finger because he's just
I'll listen.
spent.
I'll listen to War of the Ring, Nerd of the Rings tonight.
Yeah.
Because
And I'll find
the
the
main
answer for
thing
you.
is, I just wish they would do like a timer of like once you've killed X amount of orcs, now it's Gil-galad Elendil versus Sauron. It's those two. Everyone else is kind of like doing like a just watching, just waiting, hoping that they can actually do the fight.
That's
that to
fucking
me
very
would-
anime of you, Tyler.
I want it.
Everyone just stands back and watches. That's what
anime.
Heroic Challenge is supposed to be, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the way it plays out is usually like you get this massive horde of orcs, but you've just got such good quality, good troops that they'll just get rid of the orcs without break your sweat, really. So they strip back all the whatever it is, 100 orcs or whatever, you have 70 orcs in that one. And then Sauron eventually is just outnumbered by so many guys. So a lot of times you end up just playing so conservative. You just throw waves of waves after 200 elves at him, wait till his stats go down, and then just hit him with all the heroes at once. And he stops being able to use his magic powers and things, and because he's constantly being attacked. So I think, new addition with where strike is not super reliable might actually help you out a little bit there, because that was always the issue as well, where once they brought in strike, the heroes could always guarantee that they'll get a fight 10 guy in there, and then Sauron's got much lower Sauron's got much lower resources. So it ended up being could the orcs somehow, against all odds, take out enough of the good models that you had a chance, and then let Sauron essentially just stay back and snipe the characters with the what's he got? Black Dart? No, it's his super Black Dart.
Soul.
Chill Soul.
Yeah,
Finger
which is the most boring way to win a game. If you sit back and just chill
would
soul.
you add more like specialty troop types? Would you add more trolls in? Would you add more?
No, I don't think you
Would
want
you-
to change the aesthetic of it. I think I would probably have less good side. I think they always pack it with so many good models. I don't think you need that many. And I think you could do it where they will split up significantly. So you could even have the heroes come on in like a reinforcements type thing where they come on as reserves, bring it on. I would also, I'm not a big fan of people being able to do their super abilities when they get engaged in combat. But if there's ever a scenario to do that, give Sauron like a Legolas rule where you can still think about doing spells even when you're in combat.
Yep.
They brought that with the White Council, I think, in the last edition as well. They had that
Yep.
one. This is the one
Bullshit.
time I think it's probably justified.
Which would make sense.
Because he just never casts a spell in this one once he's in combat. So you just avoid combat with this super combat guy, and then you try to chill soul the heroes, which is the most cowardly way of doing it. So you just have a line of orcs. You try and get close enough. The other player keeps their heroes back because why risk the heroes? So you have a whole bunch of dregs fighting it out for hours, and then you bring in the heroes, and it's unlikely you've chill souled whatever it is, the 12 wounds you need to do to start doing dints into heroes.
What if your orcs could wound elves on 5s?
Well, I think even with the changes to two-handed weapons now, that wouldn't be a thing. The main thing is just winning the combat. So I guess if you gave, you can give Sauron a banner effect to force him to go close to them or whatever like that, or maybe you give them a global banner effect when he's fighting a combat. So give him something to just encourage them to fight a little bit better. But yeah,
what about potentially giving him the Goblin King rule where he can literally run through his own orcs? And actually start like barging through, and it's like, cool, he can win up against a hero, fine, cool. I'm gonna barge and I'm gonna go this way
that
through
could
my
work.
troops.
But the issue is always that there's going to be a wall of elves in front of the heroes protecting. So you need an incentive for Sauron to get into combat, because that's what's cool. You want Sauron to be bashing up guys and killing lots of them. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be basically like this big halo where every time he comes, the elves just disappear 6.5 inches away from him and he can never get into combat with him. So I think Yes, you probably want the incentives to go in, and I think you probably do that by just make it so it has to happen. So you don't give the full force of the good side there. You might even have them start engage, essentially start them within 3 inches of the evil side, make it so that there's going to be combat first turn, and if they want to run away, then you do something along the lines to heavily penalize them. I don't know. I feel like this one needs a bit of work to get to what it is. Like it's such a.
That's fair.
It looks so cool, but it never plays the way that we want it to be. You want this to be epic battles if heroes trying to desperately take on Sauron, and by the time you get there, it's 4 heroes into Sauron, spend a bunch of might, kill him,
confirm the kill, and friggin'
it
feels way too easy. Versus you want it to almost be like one hero versus Sauron at the end. He has to pray that he fluffs and then gets the lucky. You want it to have that epic feeling of oh, it felt like do or die. Like this was the last time that they were going to be allied. That's fair. That's fair. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, the very last one for tonight is the exploration of Dol Guldur.
Yeah, okay, this is the one I was thinking about before. This one is literally a 2-model scenario. It's Radagast versus the Witch King, and it's the Armored Witch King, and basically has to go dig through ruins, like scratch on there trying to find the Witch King. And when they pop out, they're actually a really close fight, the two of them. So they and with the Witch King's ability to jump back up, even if Radagast kills him, he can come back for it. So I've never seen a 2-model scenario that actually plays as interesting as this one. It's a lot of fun. It's in the Fall of the Necromancer book, which is the newer one from last edition, which is one that not a lot of people got, I think, because it didn't have enough Legendary Legions in it or something like that. Maybe it only had a couple in there. But this scenario just sort of surprised me a bit in that I hadn't seen them do the one-on-ones in a scenario that actually worked before. Whereas these ones, you've got interesting things. Radagast has got some spells, so can do some interesting things. The fact that you still go a bit of exploring, you don't necessarily want there. So you have to like, I don't know, I think it was like dig up some treasure in all the ruins. So you have to go to hit certain points of the board, and the Witch King eventually shows up and then starts attacking you and preventing you from doing this. And the Witch King comes back alive. So the Witch King's unlikely to kill Radagast without a bit of time, but can, because Radagast is not a super tank. It was a lot of fun, this one, but pretty niche. Radagast, I don't know how many people's favorite character is Radagast and the new Witch King. So in terms of my iconic thing,
but the real question is, did he have Sebastian with him as the extra attack?
Yes, he did. He did.
Yes. Boy. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it was, 2 attacks each. There was always a 50-50 who won the fight, because they're pretty much dead even.
Yeah. And Radagast currently 2 attacks base now. Sebastian
now. Oh, come on, stop it.
But he's now 1 lower fight value than the Witch King.
Oh, what are they doing? Stop. Stop it. Calm down. So look, this one, there's no way I can put it. It's even behind the Golem scenario. Like, that's even more iconic, having Golem coming through the hunt for Golem.
Is that deep in C tier? You just hyped it up like it was a fun.
But every single one I've hyped up. You know this. I love all these. Like the ones I don't like there's no point talking about them, because we have to have an. Yeah. We've only got 3 letters? No, 5 letters in total. I don't know what the S is doing there above the A, but we'd have to have an E and an F tier and a G tier for some of the scenarios. Like, some of them are absolute duds. None of these are duds. These are good scenarios.
Yeah. Does it
top of D? Top of D.
Yeah.
Top of D. Okay, cool.
It's looking nice and balanced, to be honest with you, as all things should be. To preface this, to talk about it afterwards, I said to Jeremy, I was like, can you tell me your top 10 scenarios? And so Jeremy's ordered them for me from his favorite, down to 10.
Yeah, and wrote a paragraph on each of them justifying that sort of stuff. And then we totally threw them away, because these are very different, because you changed the criteria on me.
I did. So
sound like a teacher or something like that. Just change the criteria just so I submit the assignment.
Yeah. I led you to the prayer, then I went, fuck it. It just went out the door.
It threw me right off.
Yeah. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on. I've been inspired. I have not played a single scenario the whole way through. I've played a match play game with a scenario on the side. So we played Men of the West whilst Frodo and Sam were running to throw the ring in. It was happening at the same time. We did the battle report for that. And that was probably the most fun game I think I've ever had, because there was a mini game that I really, really, really cared about with the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I love that stuff.
Game, it didn't become it was just to the death. We just basically go to each other. I was playing Mordor. I completely decimated the poor men of the West, and fucking Frodo still got the stupid ring in the lava. So they won.
Yeah,
It was
that's
so,
the way.
but it was thematic, and there were
Yeah.
moments in there where it was like, you know what, Gollum did end up jumping on Sam, and he managed to get him down, and then Frodo didn't pass the courage test that turn, so he failed, and he was just there like being typical Frodo. I think narrative play is one of the best ways to bring people together, and it's one of the best ways to play this game. So I highly encourage you to go out and give it a go. It's definitely something I'm wanting to bring a bit more to this channel without rather just doing a battle report match play guide.
Ooh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge. It's been an
thank you.
absolute pleasure. And hopefully we'll get you back on again sometime soon.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Yeah, let's do it.
But otherwise, from me, from Jeremy, from Tyler, to you lovely people, have a great night.
Yeah, see you.